manner to stay away. Now Allah says, what makes him so unfortunate? الَّذِي يَصْلَى النَّارَ الْكُبْرَى, the one who will enter the fire, the great fire. And we talked about the word yasla not being passive. It doesn't mean he will be entered into or he will be cast into. When you see he will be cast into prison, it feels like some guard threw him in, right? Yasla means he'll throw himself in. He'll go himself. His limbs will rebel against him. His hands, his legs, his feet, they'll all rebel against him. They'll go back to the slavery of Allah and he'll cast himself into the fire. He himself, subhanallah, الَّذِي يَصْلَى النَّارَ الْكُبْرَى. And this, in the previous surah, Allah said, وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا, I'm making a plan too. He made his plan to stay away. Allah made his plan to cast him into the hellfire. He himself, having himself thrown in the hellfire. May Allah protect us from the fire. This surah is, in its literary form, one of its beauties is that the superlative is used often. We found the words A'la, Ahwa, Yusra, Ashqa, Kubra coming up, Dunya, Khair, then Awla, wal-akhiratu khayrun, wa abqa, abqa also, right? Ula also, the first. All these superlative adjectives are used all through the surah. So the most unfortunate gets the biggest fire. An-nar al-kubra, right? The superlative form of the fire is used too, subhanallah. ثُمَّ لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَا. Thereafter, now he's thrown into the fire, then what will happen? What makes him so unfortunate even on top of that? Here's another reason. لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا. He will not die in it. وَلَا يَحْيَا, nor will he live in it. He will not die in it, he will not live in it. Of course, in this surah, Allah did not mention the name Jahannam or Jahim or Sa'ir. He mentioned Nar itself, fire itself. In other words, what punishment is Allah highlighting here specifically? Burning. Of the many punishments in fire, in the hellfire, the one that Allah is specifically highlighting here is burning itself. You ever see somebody get burned? Or heard about somebody get burned? And even if you imagine somebody getting burned, what's the biggest thing on their mind? What's the only thing on their mind? Get it off, finish it. And if you can't get the fire out, what's the only thing they want then? What are they begging for? They're begging for death. They can't stand it. They can't stand the pain of burning. Now imagine, Allah has put this person in the fire. وَيَأْتِيهِ الْمَوْتُ مِنْ كُلِّ مَكَانٍ وَمَا هُوَ بِمَيِّتٍ. Death will come to him from every direction. He has every reason to die, but he will never ever die. وَمَا هُوَ بِمَيِّتٍ. He will never die. But would you call that life? Would you call burning like that life? Subhanallah. لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَا. This person will beg for death. Remember, فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا. As soon as he sees hell, he says, oh, just give me death now. He hasn't even been thrown in yet. And he says, just kill me now. I don't want to go in. That's what he says. But now Allah says, no, لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَا. اللهم لا تجعلنا من أصحاب النار. So, the fire itself is worse. I mean, we touch a little bit of fire, we pull our finger back. This person is in it forever. لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا. And Allah does not give him release with death. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. So far the surah has not been talking about paradise or no good. In previous surahs we saw some good news. So far no good news, right? Just the one who fears takes benefit of reminder, but the one who doesn't is thrown into this kind of fire. Now Allah speaks about the successful. Now you're ready to hear the alternative. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Like Allah says in Surah Al-Mu'minun, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, right? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ, someone has already attained success. Aflaha comes from the word iflah, which comes from the farmer, fallah. Fallah. Arabs were really obsessed with farming. Why? Because most of the Arabian region was desert. Very few places have what? Farm. So whatever few regions have farm, they would have lots of words for it because this was something very important to them. Fallah is someone at the end part of the year when he's harvesting, when he's getting the fruit of his labor, he's called fallah. This is the happiest time in the life or the year of a farmer. When he's putting the seed in, the Arabic word for that is kafir. Okay, he's burying the seed, he's called kafir. Not the disbeliever kafir, this is the original meaning of the word kafir. Okay, before Islam. So at that time he's nervous. I don't know if it's going to be a good season or not. I don't know if it's going to rain or not. I don't know if it's going to get some sort of infestation or not in the fields. But at the end, if everything goes through and it's time for harvest season, in any agricultural culture, there are lots of festivals and celebrations and things like that, because this is an amazing occasion, right? Now Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about this is why from this we get the word muflih, the successful. In other words, this is not a kind of success that you just enjoy. There's a long, perilous turmoil and labor behind it before you get to harvest, right? So when Allah says قَدْ أَفْلَحَ, the one who succeeded, it's not just he succeeded, what's highlighted is there's a lot of work that went into that success. Just like that farmer, a lot of work went in before you got to crop season, before you got to harvest. So قَدْ أَفْلَحَ. Though whoever Allah is about to speak of, because He says qad, it does two things. There's no doubt about it, number one. And number two, this has already the case. The person who Allah is describing in this ayah has already attained success. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Whoever engages in the act of trying to cleanse themselves within. Whoever has the time and the effort to look inside themselves and say, how can I make myself a better person? How can I cleanse myself up? Is there anything good left inside of me that I can nourish? You remember these, and the word man is open to anybody. Whoever engages in this act. And we will find as the surah continues what will keep you from doing this. The bottom line of the surah, look inside yourself. Find something good inside of you. Find what is good inside of you and harvest it and let it come out. And the person who becomes concerned with cleaning themselves, they have already attained the ultimate success because now they have the right concern. They have the right attitude. Remember the surah is about attitude, right? They have the right concern. They have the right priority. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. The scope is so open of this, the word tazakka, that even Musa offers Fir'aun, like we said, هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّى. Would you consider looking into yourself and cleansing yourself? I'll make you a deal. You do that, وَأَهْدِيَكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَتَخْشَى. I'll guide you to your Lord and you'll develop fear. Fear's already been mentioned here too. وَيَخْشَى. Even in Surah Al-Mu'minun, when Allah says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, there's salah, there's mention of salah, and then cleansing yourself. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. Here, iflah, success is mentioned, then tazkiyah is also, or tazakki is also mentioned. What isn't mentioned is salah, so that's coming up in the next ayah. وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى. Just like in Surah Al-Mu'minun, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Here it comes up again, because tazkiyah is mentioned. So now let's see, the one who attained success, what were the things that he did? First, he tried to find cleansing, he tried to cleanse himself from within. To help cleanse himself, what are the processes he engaged in? وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ. He remembered the name of his Lord. He mentioned the name of his Lord. Now Allah didn't say Isma Allahi, He said Isma Rabbihi. When he remembered that his name, he acknowledged that that is not just anyone's name. He's not just the creator, not just the wise. The wise one, the creator, the knowledgeable one, happens to be my master. And I happen to be his slave. And if he is my master and I am his slave, I better act like a slave. What is the first act of a slave, practical act of a slave? The very next words, فَصَلَّى. Then as a result he made salah. Then he prayed. And this is an interesting nuance and play on words. By the way, the beginning was سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ, and here وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ. For everybody else. For the messenger, a higher thing. Be conscious of the perfection of the name of your Lord, the Supreme. And for anyone, the beginning point. Just mention the name of your Lord, and the first thing that will be a consequence of that naturally will be, you will want to connect to that Lord by means of salah.